You may want to look the verse up on your phone, database.com. Canto 1, Chapter 9, verse 38. 1, 9, 38. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Now I'm going to recite a verse you can say with me. It's at 1, 2, 4. It's a nice verse to recite before the Srimad Bhagavatam. We saw it on the screen yesterday. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Now this verse, 1:9:38. Sita vishikhato vishirna dangsha satakja paripluta atataya no me. Prasabham avisaram vadhartam sabhavatu me bhagavan gatir mukundaha shitabhishikhato vishirna dangsa Shataja Hariplota Atataya no me Prasabham Asa Abhisasara Mad Vadhartam Sabhavatu me Bhagavan Gatir Mukundaha. May he, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead who wards salvation, be my ultimate destination on the battlefield. He charged me as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The dealings of Lord Krishna and Bhishma Dev on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are interesting because the activities of Lord Krishna appear to be partial to Arjuna and at enmity with Bhishma Dev, but factually all this was especially meant to show special favor to Bhishma Dev, a great devotee of the Lord. The astounding feature of such dealings is that a devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. The Lord, being absolute, can accept service from his pure devotee, even in the garb of an enemy. The Supreme Lord cannot have any enemy, nor can a so-called enemy harm him because he is ajita or unconquerable. But still he takes pleasure when his pure devotee beats him like an enemy or rebukes him from a superior position, although no one can be superior to the Lord. These are some of the transcendental reciprocity dealings of the devotee with the Lord, and those who have no information of pure devotional service cannot penetrate into the mystery of such dealings. Bhishma Dev played the part of a valiant warrior, and he purposefully pierced the body of the Lord so that to the common eyes it appears that the Lord was wounded, but factually all this was to bewilder the non-devotees. The all-spiritual body cannot be wounded, and a devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Bhishma Dev would not have desired to have the very same Lord as the ultimate destination of his life. Had Bhishma Dev been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna could have annihilated him without even moving. There was no need to come before Bhishma Dev with blood and wounds, but he did so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wounds created by a pure devotee. This is the way of exchanging transcendental rasa, or relations between the Lord and the servitor. By such dealings, both the Lord and the devotee become glorified in their respective positions. The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving towards Bhishma Dev, but in spite of Arjuna's checking, he proceeded toward Bhishma Dev as a lover goes to a lover, without caring for hindrances. Apparently, his determination was to kill Bhishma Dev, but factually, it was to please him as a great devotee of the Lord. The Lord is undoubtedly the deliverer of all conditioned souls. The impersonalists desire salvation from him, and he always awards them according to their aspiration. But here, Bhishma Dev aspires to see the Lord in his personal feature. All pure devotees aspire for this. On the one hand, it's not easy to understand this exchange of love between Krishna and Bhishma Dev. And on the other hand, it provides a subject matter of great relish for the connoisseurs of rasa. And there's layer upon layer upon layer of all of this. We just to go one of those layers. He, Bhishma Dev, is happy to see the person who he wants as his ultimate destination come charging at him, ready to smash him with a broken chariot wheel. Beautiful painting, BBT painting. He drops his weapons, opens his arms to receive the Lord smashing him. It's a chivalrous rasa, as is described here. So it's a part of the science of rasa that's not easily understood, but the principle is their primary and their secondary rasas. The primary rasa of Bhishma in relation to Krishna is servitorship. Although by age he's elder, and by social circumstance, elders are to be respected. He, Bhishma Dev, has a different mood. Primary rasa, servitorship. So question, how does a servitor deriving happiness seeing the Lord bloodied, pierced by the wounds of his sharp arrows? Now, going back to something that was stated earlier, it's not possible to pierce the spiritual body with arrows. What to speak of have blood, because according to Ishopanishad, the body of the Supreme Lord has no veins. So how can there be blood? Because there's no veins. You can't pierce his body, and there's no veins. There's no blood wounds. But both, his body was pierced, and there were the appearance of blood. And Bhishma Dev was delighting in seeing it, which is for the servitor to want to see the served bloodied. It doesn't work. It doesn't match. But it's a chivalrous rasa. Chivalrous rasa means, in different ways, the servitor understands the served likes combat. Prabhupada gives us examples sometimes. A king would sometimes keep a powerful wrestler because the king liked combat. And then he wouldn't pick just like a pushover. He would pick somebody that could whoop him. And they would thrash each other and thrash each other and thrash each other. And the king was really happy. You're a good combatant. And the combatant was happy because he was giving the king pleasure. And they're, after the combat, they're friends. With folded hands. Did I do a good job, whooping you or smashing you or wrestling or whatever they would do? And in this case, it's Krishna doesn't have a bow and arrows, and Bhishma Dev doesn't have bow and arrows. There's another description that because the circumstance on this particular day, when Bhishma Dev was going to kill Arjuna, we discussed this the other day. Well, it wasn't here. So the day before this day that's being described here in Mahabharata, Duryodhana came to see his grandfather, as he would do every day. Every morning and every evening he would come pay his respects to Grandfather Bhishma, his commander-in-chief, and in the evening come and pay his respects. It was just culture. Although he's the commander-in-chief and Duryodhana has the position of king, he's the elder, so he's going to offer respects. So one evening he came and said, "You're not trying very hard. You're single-handedly, you could defeat the entire army, and you're not doing it because you have partiality towards the Pandavas." So, chivalrous hero Bhishma Dev said, "Very well, I'll take a vow. Tomorrow, take these 5 arrows. You're going to come see me tomorrow morning. You keep these 5 arrows. And when you come in the morning, bring those 5 arrows. And with these 5 arrows, I'll kill all 5 of the Pandavas. Are you happy?" "Oh, yes." And Duryodhana left. Many of you know the story. So Krishna, being omniscient, he knew of that exchange. So omniscient Krishna spoke to Arjuna. Arjuna, yes, do you remember when you saved Duryodhana's life? He was in a battle with a Gandharva, and he was going to be finished. And you stepped in and saved his life. Do you remember that? Yes. And do you remember what Duryodhana said? Arjuna, you've saved my life. You take a benediction from me, whatever it is that you like, it's yours. Remember that? And you said, I don't need anything now, maybe later. Now is the time to ask for that something. You go to Duryodhana's tent this evening and ask him for the 5 arrows. He'll know what you mean. So sure enough, true to his word, Duryodhana gave the 5 arrows. Next morning, Duryodhana went to pay his respects to Grandfather Bhishma. And Grandfather Bhishma said, where's the 5 arrows? He said, oh, Arjuna came last night and asked for the 5 arrows. So I gave him the 5 arrows. I don't have them anymore. And Bhishma did some quick math and said, this is Krishna. So I, who have never broken my vow, have just had my vow broken by Krishna's trick. So I'll take another vow that either Krishna will break his vow or I will kill Arjuna today. Terrible vow. And so that day, super intensely, Grandfather Bhishma was after Arjuna. And so this arrangement, that arrangement described in the Mahabharata, this protection, that protection, Bhishma knew how to pierce through the protective shield, and when he went after Arjuna like anything. And towards the end of the day, Arjuna's chariot wheel broke. He got down to fix the chariot wheel. Grandfather Bhishma was firing arrows. It says he was firing arrows at Arjuna during the day, and Krishna was moving this way, that way when he saw the arrows coming, so the arrows would hit him instead of Arjuna. That's where the arrows piercing his body, one of the explanations at least. So when Arjuna was fixing his chariot wheel, Grandfather Bhishma was ready to let him have it, finish him off. Krishna saw. Krishna picked up the chariot wheel, raised it in his hand like a Sudarshan chakra, because he doesn't need a chariot wheel. He has Sudarshan chakra. He could finish him in a second. But he picked up the chariot wheel and started charging Grandfather. It says in the previous verse in this chapter, his upper garment fell to the ground. He didn't even notice it. He's charging with fury, his eyes bloodshot, wanting to smash Grandfather Bhishma, which is exactly what Grandfather Bhishma wanted. Krishna broke his vow. But Krishna had a vow that he won't fight. And he's picking up the chariot wheel to smash Grandfather Bhishma. Krishna broke his vow. In one sense, Grandfather Bhishma wanted to show that for Krishna, protecting his devotee takes precedent over anything else. Konteya praticanihi name bhakta vinashati. So Krishna broke his vow, and that's one of the happinesses. Now that's chivalry. It's not, there's other kinds of when people do something to harm another somebody or something. It's chivalry, because as soon as Krishna did that, he dropped his weapons. Smash me, please, smash me. And then there's different. explanations of why Bhishma fought against the Pandavas, although he was being criticized by Duryodhana as being partial to the Pandavas. Although you're the commander-in-chief, we're depending upon you. It's your duty. You're a dutiful man. It's your duty. You're not doing it. Shame on you. You're neglecting your duty. What kind of virtue is this? Because of your partiality. And he had partiality. He had partiality, but, in execution of his dharma, he wasn't exhibiting that partiality. Then there's layers of, why Bhishma was on the wrong side anyway, because he knew how diabolical was Duryodhana. We heard it last night. When the peace settlement was being proposed, Krishna came personally all the way from Dwarka to Hastinapur to make a peace offer. Duryodhana said no. Not just no. No. I cannot live in the same planet of those Pandavas. There must be war. And he insulted Arjuna, he insulted Krishna, etc. We heard this yesterday. Bhishma then spoke, and Bhishma made it so clear who Krishna and Arjuna are. They're Narayan. And you take opposition to Arjuna and Krishna, you're finished. You're finished. You'll see if you don't take my word, my instruction to you, because he's great. So his instruction wasn't taken, became the commander-in-chief. He knew Duryodhana. He was insulting Duryodhana. He was insulting Karna. He was insulting Dushasana. He was telling it as it is, right in the assembly. And Duryodhana was, anyway, different responses. Karna in particular became livid in hearing himself being criticized. Anyway, why did grandfather Bhishma take the side of the bad guy? Because he knew he was a bad guy. And he knew everyone would be destroyed being on the opposite side of Krishna and Arjuna. And he said, Arjuna can't be defeated. He's Nara, and of the Narayan avatar. He can't be defeated. He can't be defeated. Krishna can't be defeated. He can't be defeated. You'll all be defeated. So why did he take the side? So there's different explanations. One, Krishna wanted to show that one who fails to protect women will have their life taken. Because that's what happened. When Draupadi was being disrobed, she looked to grandfather Bhishma sitting up with Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana and, the gang. And he said nothing. He could have said something. Stop. He didn't. So why didn't he is another, but Krishna wanted to show that one who fails to protect women will be destroyed. And so he got on the side that would be destroyed. Krishna wanted to show. Another is mentioned here. Bhishma Dev wanted to see Krishna face to face. Arjuna was seeing the backside of Krishna. Because Krishna was the chariot driver, and he's seeing Krishna's backside. And Bhishma was seeing Krishna's front side. So to leave his body seeing Krishna, that was everything for him. And of course the other is to fulfill the chivalrous spirit. And one can say, whether he did that consciously or super soul within the heart of Bhishma Dev arranged so that chivalrous rasa between the two could be experienced and enhanced. Because Bhishma is, as we know, Bhishma can't be defeated. Bhishma had a battle with Parshuram. Because Parshuram requested Bhishma to marry Amba. She went boo-hooing to Bhishma, to Parshuram, tell your disciple. So when Parshuram came and ordered him, Bhishma said, no. I've taken a vow. I can't break my vow. You break your vow or then there was a battle. Okay, guess what? We'll just fight till whichever one of the two of us is finished. Parshuram couldn't defeat Bhishma. And Bhishma is the commander-in-chief of the Kauravas. Like, what a scene. And yet he was defeated. And he was defeated by the largesse of Bhishma Dev himself. He explained how he could be defeated. And that's a whole long description. Sikandi, Amba, took her birth again as a female and then was able to change her gender back and forth between male and female. Anyway, interesting description. Sikandi can defeat me. No one else can defeat me because I won't fight a woman. Although now the woman is in the body of a man, Sikandi was born a woman, so I won't fight against a woman. Anyway, he who won't fight against a woman wouldn't protect Draupadi. Big contradiction. So there's intrigue and innuendos and complexities. The main message is the loving relationship and the secondary rasa, the servitorship and served, and the secondary rasa of chivalry. Now, from a rasa aspect, it's clear, and as Prabhupada writes in the purport, those who are materialists, they can't understand rasa. They can't understand transcendental rasa that goes against all kinds of, especially considerations of virtue. The all-virtuous Bhishma Dev is in this position of fighting on the side of the wrong guys, the bad guys. And Krishna is reciprocating. Knowing what will give pleasure to Bhishma, he does things that, having arrow wounds and charging at him with beads of perspiration rolling down his face, and the ashen feature from the dust from the hooves of the horses is dripping down his cheeks. Like beautiful picture in Bhishma Dev's mind, and Krishna's satisfying him. And that's the point that's being made. The Supreme Lord knows desires of living entities, and he reciprocates with desires of living entities. Of course, the desires of living entities may be, I want to be rich and famous, and somehow they're not rich and famous. Somehow they have something else because karma may be the obstacle. But in principle, he reciprocates with the desire of living entities. And this is one, Bhishma Dev is a great devotee. He's a Mahajan. He's one of the 12 great authorities fighting for the wrong side. There's another explanation of why Bhishma Dev was fighting on the side of the Kauravas, and it's a Dharma principle. The Dharma principle is he was being maintained. He was a celibate because he had taken the vow that he wouldn't marry, but he was being maintained by the Kauravas, the ruling party. And as the ruling party, they maintained grandfather Bhishma, and because he was being maintained by them, he, by dharma, was obliged to be with them when there's a conflict, by dharma. And there's other dharmas that are in cross hairs with that one, but he chose that one, by Krishna's arrangement for him to choose that one, so they could have this transcendental exchange of rasa. Rasa seems to trump everything else. It has to do with, one last thing. It has to do with the purpose of Krishna's appearance in this world. The purpose of Krishna only, we just repeating something we discussed in other classes. He comes by his own desire, swa ichha. He's not impelled by anything other than his own desire. What is his primary desire? His primary desire is to exchange love with his devotees. And Bhishma Deva is one such devotee. So he, raso vai saha, he is rasa. He comes to exchange rasa in the servitorship role and the secondary role. Like in the Damodar Leela, we discussed it during the Damodar Leela. Krishna wanted Mother Yashoda to experience the secondary of rasa of astonishment. And she was astonished. It worked. Krishna was reciprocating. He appeared, and then he did what he did through the agency of his potencies to give Mother Yashoda, who has deep motherly affection, to experience astonishment. And he did it more than once, not just the Damodar Leela. He would do other things to give her that second, because rasa, the topic of rasa is very wonderful. It's a major topic in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's the main topic. But it's like a river that flows. And sometimes the water of a river is very calm, and sometimes it's very rough, and sometimes the waves are up, and sometimes the waves are down, and it just keeps moving and moving. And that's how pastimes of Krishna are. They keep moving and moving and moving. And the essence of them is rasa, exchanging rasa and stimulating rasa with his devotees, because rasa is a two-way thing. So Bhishma Deva is experiencing and Krishna is experiencing. The outside looks kind of frightening. And then the inside is they're both perfectly content. More than content. They're experiencing an ecstasy of chivalry. It's very nice. And the river keeps flowing. When it came time for grandfather Bhishma's departure, Krishna came because he knew what Bhishma Dev wanted to see him at the time of death. Fix his eyes upon the beautiful features of Krishna. So Krishna came. And when Krishna came, he, by his spiritual potency, arranged that Yudhisthira would ask questions of Bhishma, not that Yudhisthira would ask questions of Krishna. Now he who is the commander-in-chief of the army against him is the one that Yudhisthira wanted to get answers to. So there was this nice discussion in Mahabharata between the two. within Krishna's presence. So Krishna is the ultimate authority, and Krishna inspired Yudhisthira, who's Krishna's dear devotee, to ask Bhishma Dev his questions. It's just rasa. Arranged by Rasaraj, the king of all rasa. So that helps one to understand a lot of things that are mysterious, and the mystery remains mysterious, as the point is made in the purport, for those who aren't devotees or schooled in the science of rasa. And those schooled in the science of rasa are very happy to see how Krishna does what Krishna does, even it's kind of extraordinary. So that's this morning's verse. Let's see if there's some discussion. I'll read the verse again. May he, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me as if angry, because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. Now, this is just on the same day that he's going to leave his body, he's speaking like this. Very extraordinary personality. Any discussion?
Go ahead.
Maharaj, this is not exactly on the verse, but you mentioned Damodar Leela. And I was wondering, why is it we celebrate Radha Damodar instead of Yashoda Damodar?
We celebrate both. The deity is the deity of Radha Damodar, and we discussed it. Oh, did you attend the class?
I listened, yes.
Huh?
I did listen.
You did listen. Okay. There was 2 slides side by side. First was, actually, it's just not Damodar, it should be Damodar Leela, Yasoda Damodar Leela. So what you're saying is correct. But normally we don't say Radha Damodar Leela, we say Yasoda, we say Damodar Leela. More correctly, it's Yasoda Damodar Leela. And then the next slide was, and there's also Radha Damodar Leela. Less well known than the Yasoda Damodar Leela. So it's Damodar Leela, Yasoda Damodar Leela, Radha Damodar Leela. We say Radha Damodar because Krishna is worshipped with Radha, not yet Yasoda Krishna. Do you know what the deities are at Nandagram? In Nandagram? Nandagram is the place where Krishna resided. The altar is like this. So you're looking at the altar. There's Krishna, there's Balaram, and then much taller over on that side is Nanda, and on this side, little shorter but taller than the 2 boys, is Yashoda. And that's the altar in Nandagram. So we say there is not Radha Damodar, because the Damodar pastime didn't take place there anyways. It was on the other side of the river Jamuna. But we say Radha Damodar because we don't worship Krishna alone. We worship Krishna with Radha. Radha Damodar. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So the Bhishma Dev pastime, the secondary rasa is the chivalry rasa. So what is the actual primary rasa here?
I mentioned it's servitorship.
Okay. Another question.
Now, sometimes there's mixed, like Arjuna is both servitor and friend. There's mixture of rasa. There's a whole section in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, mixture of rasas, as long as they're compatible and some are not. So there's, in the case of Bhishmadeva's servitorship. What else?
So the second question is about the blood coming out of Krishna's face. And
Face.
yeah,
Perspiration from his face and blood from his chest where the wounds were.
right. So since he does not have a vein,
It's Leela. He can do whatever he likes.
okay. Okay. So it's just an illusion created.
Huh?
It's just an illusion created by Krishna.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's reciprocating with the love of Bhishmadev. Check this out. Check out the blood. I don't have blood, but that blood. Anything else? Yes.
Maharaj, since Bhishmadev is worshipping Krishna, but Krishna is in Goloka, his form is in Goloka Vrindavan, does he go to, when he dies, does he go to Vaikuntha Loka and sees Vishnu, or does he stay in association
What
of...
do you think? What's his rasa? That yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Is he thinking Krishna in Vrindavan? No. He knows, but that's not his heart. He's aware. He's vastly learned, but that's not his absorption. Okay? Anything else? Yes?
Maharaj, so to fulfill the vow mentioned by Bhishma Deva,
Which one?
like he took the vow to wound Krishna,
No. He took a vow that he would kill Arjuna.
to kill Arjun, not break the vow. So Krishna reciprocated. So in the other Leela, like if we take Jambavan Leela also in Shamantakamani Upakhyan, there also Jambavan want to fight with Krishna. So
He didn't recognize that it was Krishna, first of all.
yes, he did not recognize it. So my question is like, whenever it is the desire and Krishna reciprocated. So if it is bad desire also, Krishna reciprocated.
Like what?
Bad desire, like it's not valid desire.
Well, just like last night. Somebody who viewed this live yesterday night asked the question, Krishna is very kind, so why did he make the arrangement to show the illusory potency to a great personality like Markandeya? How's that kindness? There's two answers. He asked, and so he reciprocated. And the other answer is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained. Because when one gets the full view of what Maya is, one is then very detached because you actually understand you're not attracted to. So he reciprocates specifically with the devotee, but and not exactly the same, but with the non-devotee. Supposing I'm a non-devotee and I desire wealth, and it may be poor. So Krishna didn't reciprocate with my desire. Krishna's not kind after all. So there's desire and there's deserve. The Vaishnav teaching is first deserve, then desire. The other backwards is first desire, then you deserve because you desired. Sorry, it works. Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have a question not regarding from this class, Maharaj.
And then I prefer to defer to another time.
Okay.
The reason, I'll explain why. During one class, recorded class that Srila Prabhupada gave in Los Angeles, someone started asking this long-winded question. And Prabhupada asked, does this have anything to do with, or what does this have to do with this evening class? And it was not really in relation to this evening class. It was, then he interrupted and said, questions should be relevant to the topic just discussed, because if you go to other topics and other topics, the force of what was just discussed will be lost. And everyone was silent for a little while, and then someone that, the rest of the questions were, he just didn't answer.